I had some cameras on the ground and, whip panning and doing some stuff like that. But I actually was in the helicopter with it, and I'm strapped in.
And that's your first time shooting out of a helicopter, right?
First time shooting out of a helicopter. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
Crazy.
I used to feel like I kind of had some heebie-jeebies occasionally sometimes. Yeah. They're gone now. Now I'm good with heights. Like, bring it on. I've been told that I am the chubby version of Dan Bilzerian. He's like some big influencer person, which is essentially what I'm quitting filmmaking. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm going to become an influencer. Oh. I'm going to sell everything. We're going to quit, and we're just going to be an influencer. I don't know what. Maybe putting on socks in the morning.
Hey, if somebody can put on socks well and tell a story with it, good for them.
Grab a camera and go. Just take pictures if that's what you want to do. Hit the record button and see what happens. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I do, it's finding something or thinking of something in my head and then going, okay, how do I make that happen? The whole Las Vegas wrestling thing, from a cinematic standpoint and even from a sports standpoint, I'm incorporating things that have never been done.
Hello and welcome to the XPLR.NASH podcast. We are so glad that you're taking the time to listen or watch this show today. On today's episode, we have a guest who is no stranger to our podcast over the years. Jordan Heid, thank you so much for coming on the show. I haven't seen you in months. We have so much to catch up on. You are a filmmaker. You're a creative. You have directed over 300 television shows. I think that it's the right number. I'm not sure. We've known each other for I think 7 years now, maybe 8, going on for a long time. The last time you were on the show, we talked about dinosaurs. We talked about aliens. We talked about Nashville food. So this episode can go in wild places, depending on what we're doing. So what's been a major project that you've worked on in the last year?
Well, first off, I'd like to say congratulations, right?
Thank you.
Congratulations, show number 5,000 right here with me.
Give or take.
Right, yeah. 5,000 with me, your Hall of Famer, most person ever on the podcast, I'm sure. Most listened to, most watched, also maybe most hated or loved at the same time. Maybe. A lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Right?
You have been the guest that's been most consistent.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm here for it. I'm a man of the people. I'm a man of Explore. So this is good. I like being back. I'm happy to be back. It's great to see you.
Yeah, and this is your first
time.
time.
Aaron's not here. We don't need him. He's got the flu, so forget it. He's done with us.
Yeah, he's still with us. But
well, I mean, he's still with us, but we don't need him here.
Okay, so you've been a filmmaker for a long time. You have worked on some incredible projects. You've done stuff with the WWE. You've done stuff with Discovery Channel, HGTV, food. What's been your favorite project of all time network you've ever worked on?
Oh, all time. Dang, that's a hard one.
Could be food related. It could be what you did in Charleston. It could be the barbecue shows. It could be the NHL documentaries you've done. The NFL documentaries you've done.
I don't know. It's tough to say what's the favorite, right? Because everything it changes all the time, right? It's kind of almost whatever I'm doing at the time is my favorite because I'm trying new tricks. I'm trying new ideas, new compositions, new angles, new way of moving, and new cameras to explore, play around with and do different stuff. Just trying different stuff all the time. So it feels as if whatever project I'm on currently or whatever project I just finished happens to be my favorite at the time. It's tough to go back and think, oh, this was it. There's so many great stuff, right? All of the sports stuff from NFL, NHL.
Well, even that right? Perfume commercial you did.
Yeah, right. It's
like going to Saudi Arabia, right? And filming this perfume commercial, and you're like, I had so many people on set just helping us set up and tear down.
Dude, that was first off, I'm trying to get my wife to go to Saudi. That place is beautiful.
Yeah.
So stunning. I never thought going there. I'm like, oh, you never, as living in the States, you're not sitting here going ooh, I want to go to Saudi Arabia. That's where I want to go. Mm-hmm. Holy crap. Going there, I can't wait to go back because it was truly one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. And I think it's also because of it's wildly different than
because it's a lot of it's desert, a lot of it's describe Saudi Arabia.
It is. It's a full blown desert with beautiful mountains and then oasis just pocketed around in different spots where all of a sudden now there's a river and there's water right there and there's trees and plant life and everything going on and it's wonderful looking. So you just don't you don't get that here. We don't really have that. We kind of have a little bit of Utah area, maybe some New Mexico and Arizona, a little bit of feel.
Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So a little bit of that kind of gives you the feel, but when you're over there, it's nothing. It's, man, the amount of haze and sand you see. So the sunsets are wild, wild, beautiful stuff.
Out of all the countries you've been to, if you're filming, what's been, well, let's go back to your favorite project. I know the sports projects, and then we'll talk about your favorite country you've been to. And you were just in Switzerland or Sweden recently too. Like, we'll talk about that. But favorite project?
I think favorite project, because of what I said as far as the latest and greatest, is the one we just finished, which is Carlectables with Bill Goldberg from the WWE. We did a huge series with him, all about, he's a huge car guy.
How big is his neck?
Like the size of my face, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
so
I
is his arm. Like,
yeah.
He's a big dude.
Most of them are the wrestlers.
Yeah, they are. They're pretty big guys. Well, bigger than me. Like, I'm a scrawny, maybe like 5'11" on a good day if I'm wearing like my boots or something.
Okay.
It was a series for Paramount coming out in, I want to say in March.
Okay.
Is when they're supposed to drop it. I'm not sure. I never know those details. 8 episodes. We were with him for 3 months, traveling around the country, and then hanging out at his place in Boerne, Texas, which is roughly just north of San Antonio, between San Antonio, Austin area. Tons of fun. Got to see so many different exotic vehicles that you would never, you're like, that thing exists? What is this? I don't know. I like cars. I don't know anything about them. I can do a few things mechanically, like,
change a tire.
I can change a tire, oil, and do some stuff, but I don't know anything about them. I couldn't, if you're like, oh, this engine or this car and that and the other, I wouldn't know anything at all. I would just go, yeah, cool, super duper, right? No clue. I liked seeing them. I think they're rad. I don't know anything, right? But they're beautiful. It was awesome. Loved it. We got to make some really sexy images of just beautiful car shots with incredible lighting. We found.
Were you lighting them in warehouses? Like, what was the situation there? It was on some of the shoots.
Yeah, they're usually all. They were either in some type of warehouse garage, or it was
like an indoor track.
No indoor tracks.
Okay.
A lot of it were collector guys who had. One guy was. I want to say he had over 300 cars, and we went
like a massive warehouse.
Yeah, and we went, and he had multiple warehouses, and we only just went into one where it was a collection of maybe 30, 40 cars, but it was kind of his top of
like his prized collection.
His prized collection of that, and everything from ultra rare Ferraris to one of a kind Chevelles to Broncos that don't exist. Different, like, just wild stuff. Old school. Remember back in the 80s, those what do you call it? The old cars, I can't remember the name, but the doors would like go up.
Oh, the DeLoreans.
No, not a DeLorean.
Oh, okay.
But the door would actually like go into the car, and it would drop straight down and go into the car and then come back up.
Okay.
It was cool. Like, there was just so many rad things. But it was stuff like that. We went down to Hennessy Performance, which is down in Houston. And they're huge on, they make fast cars go faster, right? And they're working on setting the world record for fastest production vehicle. It's called a Venom F2, and it's going to go 320 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. So they've got a quarter mile track at their facility with a 1/8 runoff in their back. And we took that car out, and we got to, I want to say, like, in that stretch, they got up to 240, 250.
Wow.
In a quarter of a mile,
that's
starting from a dead stop.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
We were in a helicopter. We had to chase it with a helicopter in order to keep up. Because I had some cameras on the ground and, whip panning and doing some stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun. I actually was in the helicopter with it, and I'm strapped in.
And that's your first time shooting out of a helicopter, right?
First time shooting out of a helicopter. Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah.
That was so much fun.
Crazy.
I used to feel like I kind of had some heebie-jeebies occasionally sometimes.
Yeah.
They're gone now. Now I'm good with heights. Like, bring it on.
Yeah.
but I was able to
'Cause
go up,
you-
no
you-
door.
Yeah.
Door. Like I'm hanging out and I'm holding onto a camera and I don't have a safety chain on the camera.
You don't have a safety what camera were you running? FX9 or?
Yeah, FX9.
Okay.
And then we was using some cine zooms, and we were in the helicopter chasing with it, and the helicopter couldn't keep up with it
Yeah, because
either.
the helicopter's going like 185 top, right?
Well, we were blitzing in, we had radios, and so we would call and we would time it to where we would go back, however many feet or whatever in the helicopter, and he would just he'd floor it and go as fast as he could to try and catch up and take off at the same time.
That's crazy.
And he would just, the venom would just fly past us each time. And we're like, oh, dang, we can't do this. And then we tried another one where it was a reverse, where we were coming at it and he was coming at us this way. And
how long were you in the helicopter for filming?
I think we were up there for maybe an hour.
That's not bad.
No,
Yeah.
But it was, before I got in, they told me this story about some stupid kids had fallen out of not that helicopter, right, but a similar style, and they had fallen out and died recently in the last few months because the seatbelt buckle, the way that it goes in, you can lean forward, and it'll twist and unbuckle itself, and that's what had happened. And these guys, two guys, had fallen out because they had done that. So they told me that, and they showed me look how easy it is to undo this. I went, what?
But they didn't have a safety harness to the ceiling either?
No, we didn't have a safety harness. So what we did was we grabbed gaff tape and just gaff taped the crap out of it so it wouldn't move. And it worked. So
I guess gaff tape. I
did have a safety guy with me who was holding. He was holding on to me, and I was attached to him.
So he was basically your spotter,
right? Okay. So I at least had that. So it wasn't everyone's holy crap, look what they do, get them in trouble. No, we were still safe. It was good, but it was still one of those things. No door, nothing. Your feet are out. You got a camera. You're like, what the heck is going on here?
Did you, in that moment, what was going through your mind? First off, if you drop that camera, goodbye $45,000, $50,000 of gear.
Oh, sure.
You have insurance.
Right, exactly. And if you're not trying, I've always kind of been the attitude of, if you're not, and this is especially flying drones and things like that, if you're not willing to
you're
not willing to lose it or crash or something happen to the contraption you're using to get the shot, then it doesn't matter anyway. Who cares? Lose it, replace it, big deal. So, at first it was a little creepy. I had the heebie-jeebies, and then once I got used to being up in the sky with nothing, no door, nothing like that, and then you get over it and you're like, wow, excuse me.
Was anyone off the helicopter doing remote zoom and focus for you, or you were doing all that in helicopter?
No, all handheld, everything me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I was
cool.
pulling my own focus, running zooms on my own, whatever I wanted. It was all me.
That's cool. I can't wait to see those shots.
I had a couple guys down on the ground.
Hopefully, are those shots in the trailer for the show? Has the trailer even come out for the show?
I have the trailer. I don't know if
it's publicly released.
Yeah, I don't know if it's out there. And I've seen all the episodes and everything. It looks awesome. We spent some time on it. I took time to sit down and create a color profile for the entire series.
That's awesome.
To match it. So I was really cognizant of trying to keep the color consistent throughout, even though we were at, in different parts of the country and, different times of day and all that stuff. And then different cameras throughout, trying to make a match so that way it's not jarring or any of that stuff.
Yeah. So that's been your favorite recent project.
Yeah. That's
what's been your least favorite project?
Oh my gosh. This was when I was first starting. It was for MTV, and it was a show about teenage, it was that whole teenage pregnancy thing.
That sounds awful.
It was I don't remember the name of the actual title of the show. And
you were reality TV camera op.
Yeah, it was reality. Okay. I wasn't even a DP at the time.
Okay.
I was just a camera. I was a B camera for it. And we were we were in Ohio, and we were filming it. And one of the days it was over a January. Because I remember specifically, we were in Ohio. We were in Columbus, and it was when Ohio State won a championship years ago. I think this was maybe 12 years ago or whatever it was, something like that. And we were out they wanted us to follow this couple. They were teenagers. She was pregnant and they weren't married, but he was kind of in the picture, not kind of, I don't know. It's one of those stupid things. Anything that I would not watch ever. But we had to go to this nightclub on New Year's Eve to film them. And so we were there and
sounds terrible.
Absolutely terrible, right?
Sounds like the worst time in the world.
Yeah. Terrible, right? And as we were there, because we've got cameras and lights and stuff like that on them, everyone's obviously they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And the director of photography, him and I at the time, we came up with a new title of the show. We just said, this show is now called I Hate My Life, I Want to Die. And that's what we told people. Like, what are you filming? I'm filming I Hate My Life, I Want to Die. That was the worst thing that I've ever done.
Sounds awful.
Horrible.
Okay.
I've actually filmed a commercial for a painting company. I would rather watch paint dry than do that again.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible job. Since I've had my wife and I had the baby, I haven't been able to watch a lot of movies recently.
That sounds about right.
I want to. I love movies. What have been some like really good movies in the last 10 years? I know you and I have talked about this off camera, some of like your favorites, but where is Hollywood going? And like, to talk about your movies, where's Hollywood going and where's Hollywood failing right now?
Wow. That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Well, currently...
That's a whole bag of worms.
Yeah, that's a huge bag of worms, depending on who you are and what you like, right? Currently, my favorite film that has come out recently would be The Fabelmans,
okay,
which was Spielberg's last one that he did. It's essentially about his life.
Okay, I haven't even heard of it.
It absolutely visually stunning.
Okay.
Visual storytelling at its peak. So freaking good.
And this is Spielberg's last movie ever?
No. Just his most recent one that came out. I think, what did it come out 2 years ago?
Okay. I don't know. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. So go watch it. You'll absolutely love it. The ending actually gets me so much to this day where I'm constantly telling myself there's a scene at the end where young Spielberg goes into this famous director's office and he walks in and asks him about filmmaking and says, what do you I want to be a filmmaker one day and I want to do this and I want to do that. And he looks at him and says, look at that photo over there. What do you see? What do you notice about that photo over there? And he looks at it and he's like, I don't know. And he's like, I don't know. There's 4 or 5 guys and it's Western military or whatever. And he goes, no, you idiot. Look at the horizon. Where's the horizon? And he says, oh, it's at the top. The horizon's at the top. He said, now look at that picture. Where's the horizon? It's at the bottom. He said, if the horizon's at the top, it's interesting. If the horizon's at the bottom, it's interesting. If the horizon's in the middle, it's crap. Now get out of here and leave my office. And then you see it and he leaves and it's great. And then the next scene, you see the kid running out of the office and going, and then the horizon is in the middle and the camera op goes, oh, and it's shaky and he moves the horizon.
Mm.
And that's the end of the film.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And ever since then, it's stuck with me so much. I'm like, okay, where the heck is the horizon in my shot right now?
Yeah. Wow.
Totally changed my perspective.
From a storyteller perspective, break that down so a regular consumer can understand that.
Well, when he uses the words, it's more interesting. It's incredibly true. So if you go and just look at any of your photos that, you're an incredible photographer, right? When you see other people and they're like, oh man, like look at my phone, like look at me, I'm a photographer, right? Everyone thinks they're a photographer now, right? Because we have these things, right?
Yep.
Everyone can do video, everyone can do photos. Like, oh, look at me, it's so good, right? Hey, I'm a professional.
We've built an entire company on an iPhone. So.
Hey, I know, and that's great. But you're also, how to compose a photograph. And when you see regular people's photos, and by regular people, I just mean non-professional or non-people who do it, right? Like my wife, for instance, right? She'll go and she'll take a photo and she's like, why are your photos always so much better than mine? Just because I know how to compose a photograph, right? So I'm moving horizons, which is essentially someone just takes a picture straight on like this. I'm like, okay, well, your horizon's dead in the middle. If I tilt the camera back a little bit and I move the horizon up, then I have the horizon near the top. So I now have leading lines. I have more in the frame.
You have leading lines. You have depth of field. You have... It all depends on the camera and the the operator of the camera.
Well, of course,
yes,
right?
yeah.
You can make any form of camera be a great camera if you know what you're doing, right? So it's changing the perspective. And it's not that shots with the horizon in the middle are terrible. It's just you have to look at different things and see what you like and see what you don't like, right? Because it's all art and it's subjective. So you just hope to God that whatever it is that you do, that they think whatever it is that you do is pretty cool.
So as a filmmaker, though, break that line down a little bit more. Why is it interesting for Spielberg to have the horizon at the top or at the bottom? Because like because I know his story,
So
his Spielberg story, because I think after that he came out with E.T. within like 2 years, right? Out of that story, hypothetically.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Filmmaking is all about telling your story through whatever specific lens you're wanting to tell, right?
Yeah.
You're breaking it down. I want you to see this moment. Doesn't matter what else is going on. I want you to see this, and I want you to see it at this size, at this way, day, night, whatever. It doesn't matter. When you're moving, to me, when I'm moving my horizon up or I'm moving my horizon down, I'm making you focus more specifically of what I want you, like I'm pushing your eyes to a specific direction and to a specific place each time, where if you're not doing that and you're not intentional about what your composition is, your horizon, all of that, you're letting other things become an influence that may not need to be, or can be a distraction from what you're actually looking at. Because all photographs that are, if you look at professional photography or you look at professional video, there's a subject matter to every single frame.
Yes.
So what is the subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing landscape photography? What is the subject? Is it the mountain back there? Is it the rock in front? Is it the bush over here? Is it the sky? What's the subject? How do you focus on the subject? So moving the horizon helps me specifically make a better shot, make a better version of what I want you to see. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of our audience they're not filmmakers, so they may not understand the technical terminology of what the horizon is. And so I just want a definition on that. Let's get into Hollywood.
Let's get into your shirt, dude. I like that shirt.
Man, this is a company called Hard Daddy. Please sponsor me, Hard Daddy.
Yeah.
They're based out of Hawaii.
I would wear that shirt.
I know. This is why part of the reason I wore this shirt. You have been inspiration for me. I just don't do the open chest model like you do.
I'm just trying,
Yeah.
I'm also taking inspiration. Look at this thing.
But like your hair is looking great right now.
Hair looks great.
Yeah. You look like a young Santa Claus. In the face, I've
been told that I am the chubby version of Dan Bilzerian.
I don't know who that is, but
he's like some big like influencer person, which is essentially what I'm quitting filmmaking. I don't know if I told you this, but I'm going to become an influencer.
Oh, well,
that's what we're doing now.
Well, have fun.
Yeah, I've got it's iPhone or bust for me.
Yeah, iPhone or bust.
I'm going to sell everything. We're going to quit, and we're just going to be an influencer. I don't know what. Maybe putting on socks in the morning.
Hey, if somebody can put on socks well and tell a story with it, good for them.
I just
let's get into Hollywood. You have worked in and out of Hollywood, like more on the TV side, but you have had your hand in some movies. You did a spy movie a few years ago. It wasn't a major success, but it was a success for you because it was your first movie. Second movie. But what is happening in the content realm of Hollywood? Where's successes right now in Hollywood and where's failures?
Wow. I think that's going to determine like who the person is, right? Or what success is and what isn't, right? I've always looked at it as I'm just trying to make a living and be able to provide for myself and my wife. Like that's it. If I never get, quote unquote, an accolade, I don't care. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a bunch of like, would it be cool? Sure. But do I care? No. If I can make a living for me and my wife, then I'm happy. Like to me, that's success, right? And I'm happy and lucky enough that people think I'm good at what I do and I get hired to do it. So cool, I'm winning. I don't have to I'm not good at an office job. I probably would kill myself if I was stuck in one. Like I can't
Viewer discretion advised. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But I can't sit still, right? Like I'm always like, oh, we got to move. Let's do something. Like, you know, I've got 2 or 3 weeks off right now. We got home from a huge trip, and my wife said, oh, well, you're home. Go redo the kitchen right now. So I've now been knee deep in redoing the kitchen. There's been some growing pains, you know, some arguing back and forth. If you can make it through a kitchen remodel, you're good. They say, I don't know what they say, but traveling with your spouse and a kitchen remodel back to back, and you haven't killed each other or left each other, I think you're doing good.
Yeah.
So I dropped a razor blade on my leg.
I don't know who the expert is saying that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't trust the experts anymore. So
Yeah,
experts
I
are
don't know
stupid.
if I ever trusted experts.
I dropped we were putting up wallpaper, and I dropped a razor blade on my leg.
Uh-huh.
I have a nice little gash on my leg here now.
Did it get like stuck in your leg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was
That's
fun.
fun.
Yeah. It was
How
great.
long were you bleeding afterwards?
So I made it happen, and I went, ow. Oh, dang. Uh-oh. That's not good. Pulled it out. And then I told my wife, you need to go upstairs and go get, I have an old belt that I never wear.
Yeah.
And it was sitting, it's kind of like a cloth belt. And I said, go get that. She came back down, and I had just a paper towel just holding it. And she came back down and said, give that to me. And we tied a tourniquet. We cut the belt up, tied it around my leg where it was bleeding, and just cranked it down as tight as I could, held it up so it stopped the bleeding. And I just kept my leg up for, like 30 minutes and bandaged it up and threw some ointment and all that junk and cleaned it and all that jazz. And now it's all right. It's not like that crazy.
Now you're going to get gangrene.
Yeah,
so,
probably.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah,
Even though it's not spreadable. Okay, successes of Hollywood.
So successes of Hollywood. I mean, making your film, right? That is a success in and of its own right. Everybody has ideas for days on end, right?
Yeah.
If you can get your film made, amazing. Like that would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a success. I haven't paid attention so much of what's going on right now. I've been so lost.
I don't know if there really is anything.
Right?
Yeah.
We've got 2 movies that we're deep in right now. 2 new features.
One's a Christmas movie, right?
One's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
So that's hopefully we're done with the script here. Our deadline for the script is April 1st.
Okay.
So that'll be done. We already have a bunch of interest from it. So far the script that's already being passed around to some people, they love it. They're super into it. And then we have another one that's a baseball movie that's we're in casting right now. So we're already deep into it. We're in casting. It's gonna be so much fun because it's gonna be a bit of visually like a throwback to kind
Field
of
Dreams.
Yeah,
like some good baseball movies.
Yeah, we're gonna do some vintage lenses,
like Babe Ruth or Ruth. Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna do some vintage lenses. It's gonna take place today, but I'm gonna make it look as if we shot it in, say, the 80s, early 90s.
When do you think what type of locations are you looking at for filming for that?
Well, so far the film itself takes place in Florida, and then it's kind of the concept of it is like a buddy road trip that's based around baseball, right?
Like the training camps and all that stuff?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So part of it will take place in Florida, and we actually want to shoot in Florida because of that. So we're trying to be as real to the script as possible.
Okay.
That's going to have to probably fudge a little bit just because of locations and some of it's going to kind of have that almost like a deserty mountain feel, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, where the big, huge expanses during the driving. So we may have to go out there and do a couple of scenes there, but the majority of it will be essentially Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and here in Tennessee.
Okay.
So we're going to do some of that because there's caves involved and stuff like that. So we're trying to keep everything.
Sounds like I need to do some location scouting for this film.
Maybe, man. I mean, we're going to need a location scout. So when it comes time, I'll be calling you and be like, hey, man.
I know some good spots around those 3 states.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into.
I don't know if I answered that or not. I think I constantly just talk in a circle, and it doesn't ever really get anywhere. So
I think on the success of Hollywood, what's coming out of streaming networks right now or platforms has been really good. So like Peacock, I recently watched The Day of the Jackal. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's a show based on an assassin and he assassinates a world leader over in Europe, and then it turns into this huge thing, this manhunt across Europe. I thought it was an excellent show. But like Amazon Prime with the Dr. Ryan or Jack Ryan, that series.
Yeah, that was a really good. I watched
fantastic
that.
series.
I watched that. That was really good.
So I think successes out of Hollywood have been some of these series. Lord of the Rings was not good. I barely watched 5 minutes of it and I gave up. But I think what we're seeing now on these streaming networks is they're investing so much money into these shows. They're bringing in A-list celebrities, but Jack Ryan, all 4 seasons were good. Season 2 was okay, but like season 4 with like this communist idea coming back and like how it's related to like geopolitics today.
Yeah,
I thought it was a really done well series. Okay, failures of Hollywood. We can get deep in there.
Recent failure of Hollywood is the new Joker movie.
Okay, have not seen it or heard anything of it.
Absolute dog trash. Terrible.
In what ways? The storytelling, visually?
Visually, it was good.
Okay.
Right? Visually, it still looked great, but the storytelling was just terrible. It was just essentially him, and now he sings. Like, what are you doing? What do you do? It is one of the most recent films, I think, that have come out that not only did the audience hate it, but so did the critics hated it. And that doesn't normally happen, because normally films that are great, the audience loves and the critics think is stupid.
Yeah,
and then the stuff
like
that comes out, critics love it and the audience thinks it's stupid.
Is it the same, what's his name? The same guy as the last Joker movie?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's not like Heath Ledger and Joker from The Dark Knight?
No, it was Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
And then they brought in Lady Gaga to sing, and they both started singing together. It was just...
Sounds like a 90s.
It was awkward and terrible all at the same time. No, so not good. The first Joker was great. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Thought they did a really good job. But that would be, to me, like, that's full failure. Not that they care what I think, right? Who cares what I think? But that seemed like it was a big failure.
You do have a background in a lot of things.
I mean, I know some stuff, but it doesn't mean that anybody cares what I think, right? It just seemed like that was a huge failure. There was I think they spent over $100 million on it.
And they didn't make that money back?
No, not even close.
Yeah. And other failures have been Disney with their products recently.
They screwed it up big time.
What are your thoughts on actors like Mel Gibson and a few of these other people that are starting their own production companies? What Matthew McConaughey is proposing for Texas, relocating Hollywood to Texas. What are your thoughts on these actors now getting into the production space?
I mean, it's if I were an actor and I was doing it and I got into it and I saw it, I would probably be doing the same thing, right? I mean, I have my own little mini production company, nowhere near as big as any of those guys, but that's what you do when you make films. You're in the film world, you start a production company, you make a production company, you're trying to put stuff out there, right? So we're doing, like I said, we've got the baseball movie, we've got the Christmas movie. We have another doc on Mike Leach, the college head coach that died a couple of years ago. Great watch. If you ever want just pure entertainment, jump on YouTube, go look at Mike Leach press interviews. Phenomenal. The dude was a riot. Loved him. But we got that in the works. There's another WWE series that's going to probably happen. So we're big in that world. There's a huge thing right now, actually. This would be a cool time to talk about it. I've joined a group. It's called Top Rope Entertainment, and it's based in Las Vegas. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring wrestling to Las Vegas on the Strip and have a permanent home for it. Not as in the WWE, but as an independent that would move up into WWE, that type of thing. So we have 3 different shows. One would be your typical wrestling, which is, the regular stuff that you would turn on. One would be micro wrestling. So it's all the little people wrestling and doing all that stuff.
Which is a brilliant
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And their base here like their home base is out in Pigeon Forge, right? Yeah. Jack's a great dude. The guy who runs it, he's awesome. He's been super psyched to join the group and do that. And we're going to do a whole, once we get the funding, which we're in talks right now with some people. But if any of you who have some deep pockets and you want to make some history, give us a call. We'll talk, because we haven't fully said no to letting more investors come in, but we are open to adding some more right now. So we're bringing that. So we've got micro wrestling. We have the other one, which is called New Gen Wrestling, which is the regular wrestling. And then we have this guy, we have the Kazarni show, which is essentially, the best way to say it is, it's like freak show entertainment wrestling.
So like old like circus, carnival,
yes.
1800s
yes,
type
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so there's nothing like it.
Is this going to eventually be its own network of shows? Like, are you guys like long term, like going to have like a TV channel dedicated to this, or is it primarily a live event company with video added on?
I don't want to say a combination of both, but almost, right? So we have a deal in place with Triller TV. So they will be broadcasting it all, worldwide for all 3 shows when they happen. So it'll be like going to Vegas and you're going to a show, right? That's what's happening. And we've got 3 different options that you can go see on any different day. And each of them will be broadcast. And then we'll do special like pay-per-view style events. Some will be out on the actual, like on Fremont Street for free.
Okay. Is it going to be scripted like WWE?
So yeah. So it's all scripted, but there's still like, we're playing off of real life with it. So it's wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And there's nowhere, like, why doesn't wrestling have a home on the Las Vegas Strip? Like, it's supposed to be the quote unquote entertainment capital of the world. What is wrestling? Yep. Sports entertainment. That's what it is. Why aren't we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a huge stuff going on. WrestleMania is going to be there this April. So we've had a presence already building with the city council, and we're doing there's a whole WrestleCon thing that's going on. That's another huge thing that's kind of that I'm involved in, that we're pushing towards and trying to make this happen and be essentially the people that brought wrestling to Las Vegas.
Do you feel that type of model would allow a residency program throughout other cities?
I don't know. Because it would be tough to do it in different cities, right?
Yeah, it'd be extraordinarily tough.
Right. You have other companies.
You don't have the tourism. You don't have
right. You have other companies that are throughout the country that are smaller, independent ones, and they do great. And our goal is to work with everyone. We're not trying to compete and make anyone feel any less than who they are. What we're wanting to do is to collaborate and have a place for other companies to come in and bring their team and their talent to do a series in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So,
and if you can have a permanent studio that's doing those shows where you can control more of the environment for the production side of things, I don't know if that's really been done. Like the WWE does a great job at converting these arenas to make the environment that they want.
Right. And so we'll have
like you guys having
a permanent space in one of the hotel casinos.
Yeah.
Where you go like, oh, I went to go see Penn and Teller, right? That'd be the same thing as coming to one of our shows, right? So we would have a permanent spot, we would have that, but it would be set so if other companies that come in and they're touring, so WWE comes to Las Vegas, AEW comes to Las Vegas, and TNA comes to Las Vegas. That's it.
Okay.
So we would, obviously we're not WWE, like we'll never compete, like, and that's fine. But they've made a training program essentially that we would love to be a part of and try. We're wanting to build the biggest wrestling training facility in the world.
In Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
Okay.
Where it's everything that involves in wrestling. So everything from the actual wrestling talent, from weight rooms to training classes to cutting promos to
acting,
recovery rooms, all of that stuff. And then even down to the production side of running cameras, cutting cameras, creating promos, all of that type of stuff. So the back end stuff and the front end as well through all of this facility is what we're trying to do.
Have you had a chance to watch Amazon Prime's Beast Games yet?
No, I have not.
You should go to YouTube, watch some of the behind the scenes of how they put that show together.
Really?
1,100 cameras for their first episode.
See, I have I have beef with the Beast.
How?
So I'm not a huge fan of what they do.
I enjoy Jimmy's content. I don't know Jimmy. Jimmy, if you ever want to come to Nashville, I can take care of you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I've enjoyed his content from an entertainment perspective. But where I like watching is how he's built out this network. He employs 200 people. That's where I enjoy more watching.
Sure.
The back end of Mr. Beast and what he's built. So, in what ways do you not like Mr. Beast's content and maybe even his operations?
So I honestly have never watched a single thing.
Okay, then how can you truly understand what he's doing?
So I don't know specifically what he's doing, and I doubt that he was even a part of this. However, I myself and multiple other dear friends of mine that work in and out of the film industry have all been contacted through them for jobs to come and work for them. And essentially what they've been doing is asking producers or different, camera operators to come up with a skit or a series or something, or what would you do? Like, how would you create a scenario doing something like this? And it's part of a quote unquote like
interview process.
Like an interview process, right?
Interesting.
And then they take that idea and they run with it, and you never get hired and nothing.
And you never get paid.
Yeah, you get nothing.
Yeah.
So that put a very bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like this is just talking from personal experience. I'm not even going to say who it was, but I don't know if it was directly involved with him or where that person stood on the ladder, right? No clue. But that happened to me, and it's happened to at least a dozen other people that I know really well. So that's where I went, I don't need to, I'm not going to support it. I'd do your thing. There's other stuff, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah. Definitely give Beast Games behind the scenes a watch. Go to YouTube, Colin Samir, watch their behind the scenes, because it is fascinating from like a creative side how they did 1,100 cameras for a unscripted TV show.
That's pretty wild.
It broke all world records. It's insane.
Why would you even use that many?
Because there was 1,000 contestants on the first episode.
Oh wow.
Like, so just watch the behind the scenes, especially for your wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
That you're involved with, just to see how large they built an entire city it's called the Beast City, for this reality TV show.
Wow. Where did they build it?
They did most of the filming in Toronto.
Okay.
I think this fake city was near Toronto. But then they did this huge island giveaway in the show. They gave away, and the show's not done. When this episode, Your and I episode come out, the show would be done. But they're the first reality show that had 1,000 guests or 1,000 contestants on it. By episode 8, there's like 20 contestants left. And so now you're starting to hear the stories of these contestants. And so it's just from a production standpoint, give it a watch.
Seems like it would be a very vast undertaking.
Oh, it's massive.
Wow.
They brought in all of these huge name network people.
It'd be interesting. It would be really interesting to see what they were doing and what they were trying to pull off and how they were doing it.
Yeah. And then they're the first game show that's the winning prize is $5 million.
Good grief.
And they.
Oh, so it's a game. Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was a game show.
Yeah, it's a game show.
That's cool. I do like that. I'm a big game show fan. Huge game show guy.
So it's fascinating watching the production of it, because you're like, holy crap, this is bigger than a Super Bowl production for a game show. They broke records, 1,100 cameras.
That's wild.
I think 200 of them are Alexas, like big rigs, and
not just GoPros all over the place.
They had GoPros everywhere.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, I mean, if you have that many, it's going to be a bunch. Yeah.
For each contestant, they had a GoPro dedicated to that person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so, like, massive production. And so,
I would not want to be an assistant editor on that show at all, and having to cull through all of that footage and categorize it and log it. That sounds absolutely miserable.
They did a behind the scenes video. So for the Beast Games, they had 2,000 people audition. for the first one to get to the 1,000 people. So there's a video on his YouTube channel where it's 2,000 people competing to get down to the 1,000. And there was a 2-hour like behind the scenes thing that came out.
Dang.
And they took over an arena, I think in Vegas, maybe. And they were in that arena for like 4 or 5 days, setting up all the cameras, all the drones, everything. But they were able to build this archival system for footage that's remarkable based on these servers. And then each microphone correlates with the individual camera shot. It's insane how they did it.
Yeah, you have individual ones for each,
Yeah,
and then everything.
they had 20 live editors watching each person, seeing the different remarks, marking the footage, archiving it in this beautiful server of like, hey, this is all the camera angles from this person. It was insane how they did it. Yeah. Give it a watch.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you would.
That would be real interesting to see.
I think you're not going to learn a lot because you're like, I've been in this space for so long, but like, it's fascinating to see how large scale that was.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Nashville. We haven't talked about Nashville at all.
We haven't even talked. This is Nashville podcast, right? We haven't even talked about it once.
We've talked about filming.
We talked about Saudi Arabia, not even Nashville yet.
Yeah. We've talked about Nashville a lot in the past. Where has Nashville been successful recently, and where has Nashville failed as a city?
Wow, that's cool. So success, food, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're killing it. The city's killing it on the food side.
What are some places, like I know you and your wife eat at the best places in town all the time, but
my waistline says that too, right? You just look at it and you're like, oh, that guy's lower back fat. He eats a lot. Right now, some of my current favorite spots. You have the brand new Mexican place, Dos Santos, down in Wedgwood, Houston.
Is it good?
Super good.
Like authentic, like Mexican?
Like super good. Like street taco style.
Okay.
Right?
Is it more like California inspiration?
No, I wouldn't say so. Okay. It's just you're not getting all of the crazy different, like, I want to make a hot chicken taco or what, right? Like none of that stuff. It's just, it's just
like carne
Mexican, right? Pork, chicken, beef, stuff like that, right? Just simple tacos.
What's the tortilla? Is it flour or corn?
Corn.
Okay.
Corn tortillas, small street style ones. I think the menu might have like 15 items max.
That's fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
Super small. It has a walk-up breakfast burrito window.
Okay. That's the one. That's the one I've been seeing. That's been going viral.
Now you have me. You make a walk-up breakfast burrito window. I'm in all the time. That place is really good. Right around the corner is Iggy's.
Okay.
Italian spot. Super, super good. Ultra high-end Italian. Small space, but
I have some Italian restaurants to take you to.
Okay, please. I'm dying. Need to go somewhere. Need to go somewhere new. I feel like I keep repeating. I feel like I'm in a.
Have you been to Today Joe?
No.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, we got some places.
Okay, please. Those are great. I'm dying to try the new Noco's new restaurant.
Yep.
Over there in East. I'm ready to try that. Haven't been there yet. And then I think probably one of the like hands down best steakhouses in Nashville right now has to be Harper's.
Harper's is we just filmed there recently, and wow.
Yeah. Wow is absolutely right. I had the tomahawk steak there.
So I have not had the tomahawk. I'll walk you through the menu of what we had.
Dude.
The porterhouse. We had the porterhouse, 40-ounce porterhouse.
Did you finish it?
No. They fed us so much food because it was for a video. So we started off with
let me know next time. Like if you need someone hey, like I don't even need to be on camera.
We're gonna host our company
just
Christmas.
Like I could be under the table and you could just take the fork and just like put it down and feed me. Like I'll just pop my head up and be like,
like a little dog.
Yeah.
We're probably hosting our company Christmas party at Harper's this year.
What happened in this year's?
Was the chef and I?
You didn't tell me.
Well, because he didn't work with me last year.
Oh, wow.
It's people who
I thought I was like
me.
grandfathered in, like Hall of Fame guy on XPLR.NASH podcast, and I didn't get invited. Dang. That's okay. I was out of the country anyway, so it's fine.
That's probably why I also didn't invite you, because you said
I
you were
wasn't in the
traveling
country at all. So,
okay. They gave us some tuna. That was good. I don't eat sushi that often, so it's not like near and dear to my heart. But they brought out A5 Wagyu on a salt block. So you cooked it on a salt block.
Yep.
That was incredible. And then they brought out a beef Wellington truffle pot stickers, the best dumplings I've had in Nashville.
That sounds
Hands
incredible.
down. They brought out, and their bacon is actual full slab pork. So it's the full pork belly instead of just a small piece of bacon.
Yeah.
Which that's the best bacon, one of the best bacons I've had in Nashville, besides the bourbon steak. But bourbon steak, it's a little bit,
bourbon steaks is really
it's a little
good.
bit thinner, but I like the full pork
Theirs
belly.
is really
Maymax,
good.
the Filipino place, has the best pork in Nashville, which if you have not been, go. But on this pork belly, it was an apple jalapeno glaze with mandarin oranges on top.
Dang.
That was fantastic. And then for the steaks, they brought out a elk tenderloin with a chimichurri on top. And that thing
you
is
have me
delicious.
at chimichurri all
that
the
thing
time.
was delicious. They brought out the 40-ounce porterhouse. For our sides, they brought out the brulee cream corn, the best cream corn I've ever had in my entire life. And Brussels sprouts. The Brussels sprouts were mediocre. I couldn't eat their full Brussels sprout, the crispy ones, because my shrimp allergy, which has progressively gotten worse. But
Rad.
and then they brought out a $45 sundae, which was insane, and the trio of cakes. We ate really well at Harper's, but
when did you do this? Last night? I feel like you memorized the menu. Is it like sitting on your lap? Like, do you have the menu?
Literally last night. We filmed it.
Oh, jeez, no wonder. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow. How do you remember this exactly?
Oh, I remember a lot of places that we've eaten. We write it down.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you do.
But Harper's, wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I've been there. I think I've been there like 3 or 4 times now.
Okay.
It's absolutely amazing. I had one of our really good friends. We did her birthday there, and then D and I went for giggles, and then one of my buddies, we had his bachelor party dinner there.
Okay. And it's interesting.
So
it's interesting. So it's Milkshake Concepts out of Dallas. They had Harper's in Dallas. They closed that steakhouse because of the location. It was in a strip mall. But Milkshake Concepts opened another restaurant here in Nashville that failed within a year. And it's interesting seeing the dynamic of having this fine dining place, and then the other restaurant was called Layer Cake, how their fine dining is doing compared to what Layer Cake was. So what are your thoughts on all of these different hospitality companies throughout the country opening a concept in Nashville?
Wow. I don't.
That's getting deep into the weeds, but
don't get me wrong, right? I'm all for capitalism, make your money, do your thing. But I love the local authenticity of stuff, right? So when you've got hospitality groups that are coming in from all over the country, and they're like, okay, well,
all over the world,
right? Yeah. I mean, we're number 1 for new chefs in the entire world, and which is awesome.
For us as a consumer.
Right. Yeah.
And then we go to other markets and we're like, wow, we're really disappointed. This food sucks.
Right.
Yeah.
It's awesome for us because we get to try all this new stuff, and that's really neat. The thing, and this is where this kind of comes a little bit back to where Nashville's failing, is I'm bummed. I'm so bummed with how much we have lost the identity of the city and how it used to be like a mom and pop small town hangout feel, right? And now it's becoming this big conglomerate of anybody, like, the city council and everybody. They don't care about, I feel like they don't care about the residents at all. They say they do, but then their actions show otherwise.
And their policies.
Right, and their policies. And let's just bring, anybody can come in and we can do anything. We'll knock any building down that has any form of history resemblance. We don't care. And we'll just put up this dumb architecture. Like, look at the architecture.
Oh, the architecture of Nashville is terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And but that's across the entire country, right?
Yeah.
It's terrible
when you look
place.
at architecture coming out of Dubai and Hong Kong and Singapore and Tokyo and even London. Like the architecture in London right now is really cool.
You're looking at stuff that is unique and is tailored to that city, right?
Yep.
We used to because I'm traveling across the country all the time, right? So I'm seeing different cities. Everything looks the freaking same.
Yep.
Every city is now looking the same. Everything is, what's just this big building with windows, or every new housing development all looks the same. everywhere because it's the same group that's doing it all over the place, or groups, right?
There's only 2 buildings that have tickled my fancy in architecture in Nashville recently. One is the new Pinnacle headquarters.
Yep.
It has that nice like little twist at the top. It's like this nice glass. And then there's this Lego looking building that's a Tony G building in downtown on Church Street. Besides that, our architecture is extraordinarily boring in Nashville.
Yeah. It's
besides the Parthenon and like these historic homes, but like
right. Like I'm looking at, we just went on this huge trip throughout Europe, and we hit, what did we hit?
There's like 7 countries in like
7 or
8
countries, right? And the architecture is it's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much better than anything
being
built. Like it feels as if someone said, I'm going to put time and effort into this.
And I want it to be all-inspiring.
Yes. As opposed to just going, hold on, let's put 4 walls and some glass and blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Look, it's new. It's exciting. New is great. No, this stuff, Prague was stunning.
Prague is beautiful.
The architecture was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that they've preserved the old within the new stuff and combining it together was so cool to see. And getting to go into we went into the oldest tavern in the city. And man, I don't remember how old it was.
It's like 450 years old, isn't it?
It's incredibly old.
There's one in London that's like almost 500 years old.
Yeah, I want to say this was in the 1600s.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. I don't remember. I could be entirely wrong. Maybe it was either 1600s or 1800s. I know it was one of those two for sure, right? But you'd go in, and we went down like 3 floors just walking through this almost cave-like structure of just all bricks. And there's old, like, there's skulls all up around everything. It was cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Very rad. You felt like, oh man, this is old school. And the bartender came over and he slammed beers down. And when he comes over to bring you your check, he takes a knife and stabs it into the bench with the paper, and just
that's awesome.
Boom, here it is. And we're like,
that's
this
cool.
is awesome.
Yeah.
But seeing all that stuff and being able to see the architecture and seeing how stuff isn't just phoned in, and even the old stuff being preserved and taken care of, and any of the new stuff that they're building they're making it kind of feel like it's old, or they're putting effort into it instead of it just slapping up and making like, hey, here it is, right? So Nashville fails on that end. Nashville fails on our infrastructure, like just across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe to give them a little bit of leeway, this city wasn't built for this many people.
No, absolutely not.
It wasn't built to have everybody coming in from deep south, past Murfreesboro, past Columbia, everybody coming in and being like, oh, hey, we're going to go here. This is where we live. This is where we work. And we're like, oh, crap, this is not enough room for all of you people. What are we going to do? Like, they just passed the dumb transit thing, right? I was totally against it because what are you going to do? You're going to raise our taxes again for something you're never going to do?
Yeah, it's I was opposed to the transit plan because I'm against the raise in taxes.
Right. Stop raising
taxes.
Taxation is theft, period.
Yes.
And you got to pay for stuff. No, we already pay for stuff.
We've already paid for stuff. And
stop taxing me on top of my taxes for all the other taxes that I'm paying.
And I think part of it is I felt lied to on the ballot. If you actually do a deeper dive into the cost, it's probably not going to be $3.2 billion. It's going to be more like $7 billion.
It's every single thing that they've tried to pass in the last in the last almost 2 decades here. Every single bill, nothing has come in within a budget that they are proposing. Everything is almost doubled every single time. Look
at the Titan Stadium. And I know the city's not paying for that, but the Titans are paying an additional $500 million or some $400 million. Don't quote me on that. I don't know the exact number. Don't sue me. So, but it's going to be a very expensive thing for a 15-year temporary fix. But why are we investing in technology that's dated, like buses, and we're not investing in technology that's coming out of Dubai or other cities where they're doing these drone-based services? Why are we not investing in Elon's robo-taxis? Why are we not investing in these things where we can have a better smart system, smart grid And now that gets into the whole conversation of, oh, if you have a smart grid, you have more government control, you have these more, it's a whole side topic, but like there's smart grids in Dubai, there's smart grids in these other cities, but they're investing in technology to move people more efficiently. Why we have buses that do sit empty in our city.
Right.
And so it's,
now I've heard people, they're like, oh no, look at the buses. Like they're packed all the time. And there are some.
I've seen some, but I've also seen in the middle of the week buses that have nobody.
Right.
And I looked at the Nashville Star the other day. Yeah, there's people on it, but then I've also seen the Nashville Star where it's been kind of empty.
Right.
And so
what's the majority of it? Like, what are we doing? Like, why is it always this? I understand that sometimes it's packed, but then sometimes it's not.
And then they're going and then they're going to say the argument, well, it's a 34% increase. 34% increase from what? COVID?
Right.
Like where are you getting that data?
Right.
Like is it 25-year-old data or is it 40-year-old data?
Yeah.
And so it's this hard balance of like, yes, the infrastructure in our city is terrible. Let's just say what it is.
What are we doing with all these dumb bike lanes? Is this for people on scooters? Is that why it is? Because nobody bikes in Nashville. I tried to bike. That was the dumbest thing I've ever tried to do because
you almost got hit by a car, right?
No, I just winded.
Yeah.
Because Nashville's nothing but hills and I was out of shape. And I'm like, I can't do this.
I don't know. I look at the bike lanes and there's a great example of it downtown. It's right on Commerce Street. So you have Broadway, Commerce, you have Church, you have Diedrich, you have James Robinson and Charlotte. So Charlotte and James Robinson. But if you look at Commerce Street, right next to Broadway, they took away an entire lane for vehicles and they made a bike lane. I have been downtown in the last 2 or 3 months. I have seen 0 bikes.
Same.
Use that bike lane.
Yes.
First off, why? Okay, if Commerce has this bike lane, but no other place in downtown Nashville has a bike lane, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
Right.
Supposedly, and I don't know the actual cost on this, that was like over $100,000 to convert that lane that was used for regular traffic, which I've driven into the bike lane because I thought it was still a regular lane, to take a turn. And I'm like, I can get a ticket for that. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was a bike lane. It was over $100,000 for that little half a mile stretch.
We're not a bike city.
We're not a bike city.
This is not a bike city. It's too hilly. There's too much going on.
And we have the Nashville Greenway.
And now, granted, if part of this was for the whole scooter stuff and moving around downtown instead of having people getting hit by cars on scooters or having them on the sidewalks, I can see a little bit of that. And I'm perfectly fine with maybe figuring something out. But why are we taking away entire lanes of traffic to get through stuff for a bike lane that doesn't get used?
And they're in the argument they've said, oh, this is going to ease congestion. No, it's going to make congestion
worse. You took a how does that ease?
But then they're going to look and they're going to be like, oh, I have all these lanes. It's more congestion based on this volume of whatever math they come up with.
We have congestion because we have too many friggin' people.
Yes. Yeah.
Going to the exact same spot at the exact same time a day.
Yeah.
That's why we have congestion.
I think
we could have 6. It could be just like LA or Atlanta that have
8 lanes.
8 lanes across, and it's still congested because you have that many people going to the same spot at the exact same time.
There's some certain technology that's available that we've worked with. A company called Hitch. They have a good model. They're just trying to bring this to the marketplace, but it's not a ride sharing app. It's a carpooling app, where they're incentivizing people with cash rewards to carpool from the same neighborhoods. That's a technology that the city can invest in. I'll do the marketing. I'll do the promoting. Come. There's other technology here that's available that we can invest in as well. And it's interesting because we are only going to get worse.
Yeah, of course we are. This all makes me think of something that I'm going to say here now publicly, and I'm in for your help because this is the hill that I die on, right? I think that I am going to run for council here in the very near future, all to abolish this stupid idea that I have to show my driver's license or ID that's valid in order to get an adult beverage. This is the dumbest thing I have ever experienced in my entire adult life. It is not a law that says you have to have a valid ID. It is you have to be the age of 21 or older to consume alcohol through a place. Who cares if my ID is expired or not? Where did this come from? Why is this a thing in Tennessee? I hate this. We need to make this go away. This is the hill I die on. And when I run for council, this is my motto. Thank you.
What district are you going to run for?
I don't know.
District 15, District 16?
I don't know. I can't.
You have to run in the district you live.
Well, I don't want to go against Jordan Huffman. I like him. He's done a lot for where I'm at. I feel like he's doing a really good job.
You have to run against Jordan.
Jordan versus Jordan, right?
Yeah.
I have never met the dude, but he's done some really good stuff. They tried one time, on the street that I live on, right? They decided that they wanted to come in. Somebody, I don't know who, it wasn't Jordan. Somebody came in and they put this makeshift roundabout in the middle of a neighborhood at a 4-way. There was no stop sign, nothing. It was just, they decided to put up this almost looked like a feeding trough.
Okay.
And then they put up a couple, of those stupid bike lane posts and then a sign or whatever that said, I don't know, something. I forgot what it said. But they put it in the middle of a residential 4-way intersection, right? So, of course.
And they've copied that model from 12 South and other neighborhoods in Nashville. Yeah.
And the lanes are not that big.
Nope.
And how are you going to make this a roundabout? That was in for maybe a week. And the entire neighborhood protested about it. Huffman came in and said, oh, that'll be gone. The next day it was gone.
Okay.
So big fan of the dude right now. So I can't run against him, but I may have to eventually, or he's going to have to adopt my policy of we're getting rid of this stupid rule that I don't know what it's for.
Well, I have Jordan's contact. I can just connect you guys.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
He's been on the podcast. He's been a good friend of ours, and we've done some projects with him. So
we need to have. Can you sit me down with him and let's have lunch?
So he's on his first term. For
I know
4 years.
He's doing great.
So he's probably going to run again for that council. So that you may have 6 years, maybe hypothetically, to run.
That's
and then
fine.
He may run for council at large and then mayor. So
look, this doesn't have to be me. I'm just saying if someone doesn't take over this and run on
that's an interesting hill to die on, Jordan. I think there's a lot more important things than
I'm showing my ID. Look at me. I'm friggin' 41.
Yeah.
How are you why are we doing this?
It's because of seed check and all of these or ABC laws and
I get it. If someone looks if they look underage and it's something but come on.
Yeah.
We can do better.
I've seen it. I've seen it multiple times where it's been 85-year-olds that have had.
My dad. When my dad comes to town, he's always doing. My pops is 74. I'm like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing. Okay.
So if you ever see me when I get to the point and I'm running for city council, you know why.
Okay.
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
That's it. I don't care. I mean, I care about a lot of things, but that is it. That is the reason why I'm just specifically doing this. Get rid of that.
What other failures do you think Nashville has?
That is a good question. You know what? We don't have baseball here. Major League Baseball.
It may come.
I know. They keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, forget that. Golf courses.
Okay.
Golf courses that are not private. Golf courses that are affordable that people can play.
Okay.
And actually get to.
Because we have 2 PGA courses here.
We do. We
have Vanderbilt. We have Gaylord Springs. That's a really nice course. Private.
Yep. Vanderbilt's private.
Yep. Okay.
Your two top tier that are in this area are Hermitage and Gaylord Springs, right?
In this particular area
in Davidson
of
County,
Davidson
right?
County.
In Davidson
County,
County, right? And obviously, I know we can't put it in Davidson County because we're just stacked full of people. We'd have to remove people and whatever.
Also, Justin Timberlake's opening a new golf concept.
Yep, he's
in North Nashville.
Yeah, well, it's a whole new championship course.
Yep,
but I'm assuming it's going to be private.
I would assume so.
Right? It's going to be private, and we're not going to get to play it.
Do you play at Metro and Nashville golf parks?
I do. It's been a minute. And they do look, it's Metro. What are they going to do? Right?
Yeah,
you have to put the resources in it. Right. You got to put the resources into it to make it good and make it nice. And then they get totally crowded. Then it takes forever to play. So I would like more golf in Nashville.
Okay.
That would be
how far are you willing to travel? For a good course.
Wow. Well, I mean, I drive out to Dixon to go play Greystone sometimes.
Okay.
So
Greystone is considered one of the best courses in Tennessee.
I know that's an hour from me. So I'll drive an hour.
And we have a great Dixon day trip video coming out just for you.
Oh, perfect.
We had a house blend coffee, this amazing pimento cheese tomato biscuit, and then right down the road, a little bite of everything. They have this mac and cheese burger that's insane.
Dude, are we gonna go eat after this?
Maybe.
I'm starving.
Yeah.
Now with all this food talk,
we can talk about food all day. So,
what's going on with all of the river stuff?
Like the East Bank?
Yeah, like what's going on with like I know the whole development over on the west side that they were doing all of that. They're revamping it and putting a bunch of like shopping and living and all that stuff or whatever over at is it Blue? No, it's not Blue Turtle.
Rock Harbor.
Rock Harbor, yes.
Yeah, that's still happening.
That's still happening? Aren't they doing like taxis like down to downtown and stuff like that? So
there's the Nashville Water Taxi.
Yeah.
They are owned by a guy named Andrew. They just started, so we promoted that. So that's it. Eventually, it may go from Rock Harbor to downtown.
Do you know of any plans for a new like marina to be built on the east side of like downtown?
There's been multiple talks of another marina coming towards Gaylord.
Yeah,
I doubt that is actually going to happen because they just got rid of one of their docks. But there's also been talks and renderings over the last 5 years of a marina downtown where PSC Metals is. So they would have to cut into the land to build a marina. I've seen some studies. I've seen some just general idea proposals for that. Nothing is confirmed. But it would make sense to have a marina next to the new stadium.
Well, and why not something up like towards me, like towards Hermitage area, like cutting into that, like heading up towards Old Hickory?
I think that could make sense from a logistical standpoint. I don't know if there's land available for that. There's a couple sites on the Cumberland River that could accommodate that. Oh, let me talk to my resources.
That's why I'm like sitting here. I'm like, oh man, I kind of
a nice marina, marina on the other side of Old Hickory,
right? On the other, essentially to over like Rock Harbor area, like the east version of that, right?
In theory, it's a good idea.
I have lots of good ideas.
Logistically, it's going to be a nightmare because you have to go through different certifications through the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get a dock, and they're a bunch of stinking idiots now.
And then the dock permits are basically completely expired. Like, there's no more available on the Cumberland. You've been working on it for a long time.
Yeah, I'm 2 years in.
You're 2 years in. I've met some people that have been working on dock for up to 8 years.
Jeez.
And so it's a very interesting dynamic because the entire river is run by the Army Corps of Engineers because of all the dams.
Right.
And so in theory, it's a great idea. I think it would kill it. I think it would be a very busy marina.
Right. I think it would be huge, especially that side. There's so much.
And if you look at what's happening on Center Hill, you look at what's happening in Dale Hollow Lake.
Yeah.
These massive marinas that are there. It makes sense to have one closer to Nashville that's not in Old Hickory.
Right. Well, one that too, then you could do more of the whole taxi.
More on the Hendersonville side of things.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you can do more of the whole taxi to downtown and having all of that with the new stadium.
And that's
why not?
That's what
Someone's got to have money for this.
That's what used to exist. Is a whole taxi system from the Gaylord all the way to downtown. It used to exist. It existed for like 45 years.
See, why are we getting rid of all of the good stuff?
I don't know. Money. It's from an operational cost, it's expensive. From an insurance side of things, it's expensive. But if an operator would be willing to take that risk, I think the payout would be a great reward. It may just take 10 years.
I mean, if I had the money, I'd do it.
Yeah. We could talk to some people. It's interesting because I feel like I've been on the river a lot in the last 2 years and all parts of the river. From Gaylord all the way over to Rock Harbor. I've done it multiple times. I've been on the water taxi, which in theory is a great concept. Look at the water taxis in the Hudson River in New York. They're killing it.
Yeah.
All the time. They're busy.
People love water.
All the time. And it's convenient to get from Brooklyn over to Manhattan taking a water taxi. I've done it multiple times. We just don't have that bay. The open mouth bay of the Hudson is way bigger than what we have.
Well, yeah.
And so
but there's plenty of room on the Cumberland.
There's plenty of room.
Plenty of room.
Yes.
That thing's deep and incredibly wide. Like, sure, does it narrow at some spots?
Yeah.
But what's the narrow? It's still almost like 175 yards across at its narrowest.
Maybe not 175 yards, maybe 175 feet.
No, well, I don't know. I'd have to see it.
Yeah.
I just know my spot is 175 yards because I shot it with my golf laser and I hit golf balls into the water.
Yeah. And you have a great spot. You have one of the best spots on the Cumberland River. You literally have this huge inclined bank, and it's this beautiful spot on the Cumberland River.
It's pretty rad.
And you're surrounded by parks.
Yeah, we were hugely blessed and found a hidden gem.
Yeah. Like you guys need to hold on to that property for
I don't think
very long time.
Look, I'm not saying I won't sell it, but it's got to be
a good offer.
It's got to be a chunk to make me, with all of the effort that's being put into the house and changing it and making it rad.
But you guys live on probably the best part of the Cumberland.
Yeah,
on this in the mid-state area, because when you get deeper into East Tennessee, where the Cumberland starts, and the Cumberland's going through these mountains, and you have Dale Hollow and this beautiful blend of the ecosystem of the river. That's the best part of the Cumberland.
For sure, of course. But still being in the city, I think we hit the jackpot.
Oh, hands down.
With having with not having any houses on the other side, it's just a constant. It's nothing but the park.
Yeah.
And nothing but sunsets.
And you can shoot guns.
Yeah. Right?
If you want to.
I've got a stupid gopher that I'm ready to blow its head off.
I understand that.
I've had it up to here. It's ready to go. Bye-bye.
What piece of advice, we talked about creativity earlier, what piece of advice would you give to somebody getting into that realm?
Into
creativity, into filmmaking, into creating content.
Wow. I couldn't tell you jack about creating content.
Except for you create content every single day.
Yeah, but that's not.
You're not more on the editing side, but yes.
Well, no, but it's not even on an editing side. It's more of I'm like the stuff that I'm doing, right? Like I'm making documentaries and TV shows, and movies.
It's large scale.
It's large scale stuff, right? Like the content stuff. I don't like. Do you know me? Like I don't even post on my Instagram. Like I could. I never do anything because I'm just like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't know about that stuff. I know how to, you want a TV show, you want a movie, I'm your guy, right? But creating content like for socials and stuff like that, I don't know. I'd screw it up. I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to hear what I have to say anyway. So that's probably why. But if you want to get into it, just grab a camera and start going, right? You don't need to. Yeah. Grab a camera and go. Like just take pictures if that's what you want to do. Take pictures or just hit the record button and see what happens. And then watch stuff and see, how did this person how does this look? Well, how do I make mine look like that? Or how do I make mine look like that? Or how do I try this and do that? You just try stuff. Like you kind of figure it out, right? Like that's how a lot of the stuff that I do, it's finding something or thinking of something in my head and then going, okay, how do I make that happen? How do I go from this concept to that? I have this crazy idea for the whole Las Vegas wrestling thing of where I'm going to essentially add crazy camera movements that haven't been done in wrestling before, but it's from a cinematic standpoint and even from a sports standpoint, I'm incorporating things that have never been done. So
can you give us a general idea? I know you don't want to reveal everything, but
no, I can't.
Okay.
Because if I do, then I reveal it.
Yeah.
But there's some really, really cool things that we're going to try and do with it. But it's all from trial and error, right? I've only figured this stuff out from
I may have an idea of some of those shots you're thinking of. We'll talk about afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah. I have a shot that I would always have loved when I was watching wrestling more. I haven't watched wrestling in a long time. But I was watching wrestling every week with my grandma, and
it's so big right now.
It's massive. But there's some shots I'm like, oh, I wish that would be the shot. We'll talk about it. But all right, one restaurant that somebody should go visit if they're visiting Nashville or if they live here.
Oh wow, visiting Nashville or live here right now. One restaurant. Dang, that's yeah. We just talked Harper's, right? Thanks, Yoshi. We just talked Harper's, so I can't not say Harper's, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's that. Do it. You know?
Yeah. Well, Jordan, we didn't get into aliens this time.
Why not? Let's do it. How much time do we have?
We have 8 minutes.
We got 8 minutes. I can talk about stuff for 8 minutes.
Okay.
Give me something, right?
All right. So right before Donald Trump was elected, there was this big thing.
Yo, dude, did you know I was in DC for that?
No, let's talk about that experience.
Yeah, we got to go to DC. So we were in Europe, and
you remember when we were together for January 6th and we were eating Australian food?
Yes.
We're like, what's happening in DC?
What's going on right now?
Yeah.
So we were invited to go to the inauguration when we were in Europe. We got a call that said, "Hey, you've got tickets. Do you guys want to go?"
Do you know who this person was, or they just called you and they said, "Okay"?
No, it's a good friend of ours. He's a U.S. Marshal.
Okay.
And so we were given tickets through him, and so we instantly said yes, and we booked our flights and got everything ready and went. Like, we came home from Europe and went straight to DC.
Okay.
And with everything cold, we're like, what the heck? And they moved everything. We're like, what the heck are we doing? We were lucky enough to get, we were in a side room at the Capitol watching everything.
That's crazy.
So we weren't in the main room with everybody. We were in one of the side rooms watching, on the screen and, seeing everything. It was pretty friggin' rad. Like,
That's
it was
cool.
I don't know. It was a weird, crazy experience.
Okay. Were you wearing a suit?
No.
Okay.
What was I? I don't know. I was it was cold as can be. So I had, we all had
parka,
big, I had like my big North Face jacket, all that. And then I was wearing I had a scarf and I had gloves and a beanie and stuff like that. But then when we got inside, obviously, like, I took that off, and I think I just had like a buttoned up plaid shirt on or something like that. And everyone was just everyone that was in the side rooms and stuff, everyone was just casual.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some people in, probably some staffers and stuff that were in suits, but it was this really cool experience that it was like this calmness. Excuse me. Nothing was crazy or weird. It just felt eerily peaceful, which was surreal. Yeah. And I've been to DC a handful of times, but and it's always, I'm going to an arena, right? Because I'm filming at an arena or doing something there. I've never had the chance to really like see DC or do any of that. So I got to explore some and see some of the, the town and all that and whatnot. Even friggin' DC is like, they're holding on to their history. They're making things look and feel the way that it does in that area, instead of adding all of this new stuff and losing all the character. That's what we're doing. Like, look at 2nd Street. Like, now it's, like, what the heck just happened? Right?
Oh, there's a bomb.
Well, I mean, you could have put it back. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, and it's still, why is it still in disrepair?
Yeah. What are we doing?
4 years later.
4 years.
5 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stinking forever later. It was rad. It was wild, though. It was so cool. It was a really neat experience to go. And that wasn't anything that was on my list of something I ever thought of doing or wanted to do, to go to a presidential election, or to an inauguration, right?
Yeah.
Never thought I wanted to do it. Now I'm glad I did it. And it was a really neat thing.
Oh, so let's talk about the drones. Were they United States drones, or were they Chinese or Iranian drones?
I mean, they tell us that it was U.S. drones.
Who do you believe?
Right? Yeah, definitely not them.
Are they
them?
Are they alien drones?
Right? I don't know. And they're saying they're coming up from the water. I'm just saying.
Is this Atlantis all over again?
I feel like there's so much out there that we're not being told. Right?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay. Here's one.
Why was it convenient that drones were the main point of conversation with all that stuff that was leaked about COVID, and what happened there?
Yeah, exactly.
And how it truly came from a lab.
Right.
Yeah.
And we partially funded it.
Yeah.
Like, there was money from us going directly to that exact place.
Yeah.
To fund that exact thing. Here's a thing that we were taught, or how
conditioned.
Conditioned. We're not told. We've been lied to our entire lives growing up, right? When we were we were just in Germany, and we went to the Neuschwanstein Castle, right? Your big famous castle that Disney was based off of, like their castle, right? All of this is based off of that. And we went and we took a tour of it, and it is in the exact condition of when it was being built before Ludwig passed away, right? And he was big on innovation and technology and all of that stuff. And maybe this is my naive idiocy that doesn't actually know things. But when we were going up, I thought, whoa, they did a really good job with all of the windows and like incorporating them into the castle and making it, that way. And they told me, no, these were put in with the castle.
Yes.
Back in like double paned, weatherproof back from the early 1800s. And I mean, I don't know, maybe that was a thing back then. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I was blown away by that. And then it had everything from running sewer, running water, a telephone, a handful, like electricity, like all this other stuff. And I'm going, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Well,
how did you get all that? Now, granted, it was as soon as technology came out, he developed, he brought it in and did all that. But the way that they built that thing, like, why are we not doing things like that now?
Because we're lazy.
Touche.
We as a society is lazy. We don't have people. We have regulations that prevent innovation.
I feel like social media has made us lazy.
I think just the further that we get away from Adam and Eve, the lazier we become.
Dude, I started grounding.
I enjoy it.
Like because of all the travel, I take a grounding mat with me everywhere I go. So I sleep with a grounding mat.
That's great.
Yeah, it's changed massively.
Yeah. So
my doctor was telling me
you're feeling the magnetic force of the earth coming into your body, and you're
dude,
actually,
it's wild. I feel when I put my feet on it, I feel the electricity essentially running through my body.
I haven't done that, but I always go in my yard every single day barefoot.
Yeah,
and I try to ground myself every day.
It was one of the things my doctor was telling me, and he's like, dude, literally your job and your career is like, that's like, your job is like slowly killing you because of all of the travel you're doing, because your body's not meant to go from this time zone to right back to this time zone and then not have this amount of sleep and that amount of sleep and all of this stuff. And your circadian rhythm is jacked up, which is a huge part of your health and having your circadian rhythm like on an actual schedule, like in real life. And so he told me, get a grounding mat and do all that, which I did. And boy, does it help.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at historical evidence of Roman cities, why did Corinth have beer on tap?
Dude,
when Paul was in Corinth had beer on tap.
Dude,
throughout the entire city.
When we were in Prague, we took a beer bath.
That's cool.
It's this beer spa.
Did you smell like mead?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You go into like, it's like a spa. Like you go in and you have a full blown like hot tub, if you will, and it's full of nothing but beer.
Yeah. And
then you have a beer tap, like two different kegs right there, and you just sit in beer and then drink beer.
Yeah.
That was one of the coolest experiences
that sounds awesome.
ever had.
And you just smell like mead.
Yeah. I'm just sitting here
cool.
just covered, dripping in beer. And then they say, don't shower afterwards.
Yeah, well,
because it's so good for your skin.
Yeah, it's cleaning you. Yeah.
Yeah. That smelled amazing.
The why is there fossilized batteries that we found in Roman cities? That's not being talked about.
Okay.
Why is there fossilization in the Smithsonian of a footprint of a dinosaur right next to a human being footprint?
Well, because the dinosaur one was made up.
Well, in theory, dinosaurs are made up. But if you look at the biblical evidence, we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like dinosaurs were walking with humans, but the dinosaurs that we think we know are not real.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Those dinosaurs, like biblical dinosaurs, real, but they're not the dinosaurs that we were taught as what they are.
No.
Right.
Because if you look at reptiles, look at crocodiles out of Florida. There's crocodiles out of Florida that are living 150 to 200 years. And they continue to grow. Why is there a 22-foot alligator in Florida? Because it continues to grow. It's probably 150 years old. Look at reptile, like some of these turtles that are 400 years old. And they just keep growing and growing. If humanity, at the beginning, lived until 900 years old, imagine what those reptiles lived into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but not to mention just the amount of energy a mammal has to expend and the type of food it needs to eat in order to expend said energy. These things there couldn't be a planet full of T-Rexes running around and having the enough food supply to keep that thing moving at its size.
We need to get you on an episode with David Reeves. He came on the podcast right before we stopped it. He is a creation scientist out of Dixon.
That's awesome.
He has the Wonder Center.
Oh yeah, out there.
It's looking at creation through a biblical worldview, 7-day creation. I think it would be fascinating. We all get on a show. We talk about communism and dinosaurs. I think that would be a great episode.
In for that.
But I know we've talked about this in previous episodes.
Here's something that I don't know if we've talked about that needs to be discussed. Why is it that you can go to multiple different civilizations across the globe that have cave writings and depictions of dragons, but yet at this time it was said that there was no transatlantic crossings anywhere? That was not possible. It wasn't happening.
Okay.
But yet all over the world we have drawings of dragons, and dragons are a thing everywhere. But yet they're supposed to be mythical creatures that aren't real. Like someone just made them up.
Look at Beowulf.
Yeah.
So look at the stories out of China.
I'm a big believer in dragons and that dragons were real.
Our interpretation of dragons, it's different. Because if you look at historical documents of Marco Polo, and when he went to China, they were fighting a form of dragons. That was the entertainment for the emperor of China, 1200 AD, 1100 AD. He wrote about the emperor fighting dragons. And I don't know what that interpretation is.
Right. What was the dragon? All of the drawings are similar.
It's
right?
It's not a Harry Potter dragon, but
right. It's not a Harry Potter,
yes.
but it's also, there is some vast, crazy similarities to it though.
Yeah, but look at, so then that brings up the question of why around the world, like towards 100 miles off of the coast of Japan, why in the Aztecs, why are these pyramids the way that they're built? So my interpretation of it is the Tower of Babel. People were trying to build this massive tower to become a god. God separated their languages. All they knew was to build a tower. So they spread out across the world because the languages were separated. They couldn't communicate. They couldn't understand each other. And so they went around the entire globe to build the same type of towers, the pyramids.
Well, but they're also all built at certain degrees and latitude and longitude lines.
Across the
all
world.
Specifically nowhere else. It's not like, hey, by the way, we decided to go off on our own and go build it over here. No, It was very strategic and specific. I think that Göbekli Tepe, have you heard of that?
A little bit.
It's a place over in Turkey, and it's supposedly the oldest civilization spot that we've discovered now. And it's way older than what we say, like what they claim, when humanity started, right? It's supposedly, I want to say, 20-something thousand years old, as opposed to the 7 that that they say we've been here. As far as people, like how we've started walking and talking, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, but if you look at, we're getting into the weeds. But like,
we're getting into the weeds, right? Because I don't believe in actual. I feel like carbon dating is actually incredibly
inaccurate.
Yes, right. And I find myself struggling and trying to figure out where in the biblical creation of how do these things fall, right? Like where do we believe in the exact, was it 7 days, or is it one of those things where God talks about, a day to you is as a year, 1,000 years for me, right? So where do we fall in that? And I'm not a disbeliever in it. I just, I question things, right?
Yeah, and we should. And now, if you get into the Hebrew interpretation and these different languages, the word yom is a Jewish word for time. If you look at certain translations and certain Hebrew scholars and Greek scholars, it means a full 24-hour period. But there's some Greek scholars and Hebrew scholars that think it could be 1,000-year period or a 1,000,000-year period.
Why are we on a 12-month calendar and not a 13-month, like a lunar cycle?
We are on the Roman schedule.
Well, that's why? Why?
But just because that's what the world needed.
The world doesn't need it. We need a 13. We need to be following the actual pattern that God created.
Yeah. that is humanity trying to replace what God did.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get into this on another episode.
Oh man.
Yeah. I know we were just getting into the good stuff. Jordan, thank you for coming on to the show.
Hey, I'm
always
glad to be on the
pleasure.
5,000th episode. Yeah. This is great. It was groundbreaking. I think everybody learned a lot. I think everyone is now more dumber, and may God have mercy on your soul.
That's a good way to end. May God have mercy on your soul.